let's start. So, Lou, do you want to set us up?
Yeah, very happy to. So everyone's aware that we launched this challenge almost a month ago now and had an amazing kind of process of expression of interest. But what it was really focused around is this ultimate mission of 1.5 million homes, which is really galvanizing government, I think, behind a very clear mission that also the industry can get behind with us. And so that is ultimately our North Star for this challenge. And we're very excited to go through in a bit more detail later how that comes to life through certain problem statements. But ultimately, it means that we're really intent on focusing quite far downstream, I suppose, as compared to where we've been before in the PropTech team, particularly, which has been about plan making and citizen engagement and lots of brilliant things up there. And now we're thinking, how can we really use innovation and leverage it to help deliver homes and get homes built? So that is, yeah, I think a brilliant North Star to set us up here. And we were really delighted to have 116 expressions of interest against that vision. So I think it kind of speaks to the fact that there is real appetite and demand in the industry to work on this problem together. It's an ambitious target, but one that I think innovation can really underpin to help us get there. So I'll let Isabel explain what that actually looks like in practice for the challenge.
Excellent. Thanks, Lou. So today, the purpose of today's session is to go through the different problem statements, how we got there, but it's mainly quite a practical session on how to apply and what we're looking for, and just making sure that everything is clear and any questions at the end. So our aims is in that challenge is really to develop scalable solutions. So we're not looking at very blue sky thinking or blue sky innovation. It's about really what I would call applied innovation. Is about something that can be scalable and generate impact immediately. It's about accelerating the PropTech market adoption as well and supporting digital planning objectives. And to do that at scale and at speed, that's why we're really keen to have co-design, collaboration, partnerships, because that's the best way for solutions to be embedded and generate impact immediately. And we're also looking at increasing the tech and the market capacity as a whole by innovative solutions. So where are we at? As Lou mentions, we've done the expression of interest, 116 applications. Fantastic. We've also worked on a deep dive and market engagement, and we have just published the problem statements and the call for proposal. So I will let my colleague Tim go through the deep dive research and how we got to the problem statements.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. A big part of getting to this point was talking to experts across multiple sectors. To Isabel's original point, we decided to go broad and deep by talking, as you can see on that pie chart, to a wide range of sectors. What we discovered was both specific problems to that sector, but also, as we were hoping for, themes where the same problem was described in different ways, but ultimately there were some sort of foundational challenges that multiple sectors were experiencing. And that leans to Isabel's point around producing solutions that could have a direct impact after the innovation challenge in multiple sectors, which is attractive for them and potentially for those that are proposing ideas. We ran a literature review. The sources of that came from our own research, from support and documents and reports that came from Lou and her team, but also a lot of the interviewers that we spoke to gave us their own links and research papers that added to it as well. So again, use that QR code. Our full report details everybody we spoke to and a lot of the research that we used to get to that point. In terms of findings, and the next slide is the actual problem statements, but to give you a bit of context behind how we reached those problem statements, 3 of them. First of all, we discovered, again, across multiple sectors, real challenges around the availability, the cost of accessing, and the currency of land ownership data, which can add real delays and uncertainty, particularly for developers when assessing land viability. And it's that early stage when people are deciding whether to invest in a scheme and whether it's financially viable that this really matters, as well as then in that conversations around site assembly and then delivery of those projects. The second area was around small site viability, Now, we know a number of local authorities and research has been done, and some success has been happened around identifying small sites, but the problem is bigger than that. To understand really the viability of small sites wherever they might be, there's more that can be done to be consistent across England. We need to better understand what can be built on those sites and the potential return on investment, because there are inherent complexities as well as advantages in terms of small site development. And understanding that there are relative high costs, sometimes long timescales and uncertainties that comes through the consultation and construction process that can reduce the attractiveness of small site developments. We want to turn that around and make small site developments more attractive to industry, which will unlock a lot more of that housing target that we need. The final one, infrastructure insights. We're talking about roads, telecommunications, water, energy, and the challenge of having a clear and agreed understanding of the current and future infrastructure capacity across all stakeholders. Having that common framework to have that discussion is really important for planning permissions and understanding the costs of construction, and understanding scheme design and how new technologies can potentially offset some of the challenges around infrastructure. Those are our three areas. Lou, would you like to add anything before we look at the problem statements?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I mean, it was such a fantastic opportunity, wasn't it, to listen to industry, I suppose, and across government, and what were emerging as those barriers and opportunities. And I think the one thing I'd add that I found very valuable in the process was trying to understand the nuances, I suppose, of where digital and innovation can play a role and add value, and where actually, you know, policy, regulatory influence or other things are going to be important as well. So I think we understand that digital isn't the solution to everything, but this is our way of pulling out where we think there's some really exciting kind of value add for digital tools, and where they can complement and be a critical enabler for some of those delivery challenges you just outlined, Tim. And the final thing I'll say is probably that we were hearing, weren't we, the kind of two different sides of where things are getting blocked and where there's bottlenecks and unimplemented permissions and all those kind of things, but also where there's challenges with bringing new supply, new pipeline through the system. And so just acknowledging that those two things are different, but also both help us get to the solution we're trying to achieve, and that's okay. So we're kind of open to solutions that do both those things. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Lou. So the problem statements, I'm going to read them out, and I'm not going to give you a lot more context, because the whole idea is it will hopefully set loads of light bulb moments off in your own individual heads and give you those ideas. But feel free to ask the questions. We'll decide whether we are prepared to answer them or not. So here are those three. The first one, and hopefully you can see how the work that we've done leads to these challenges. How might we transform currently siloed and proprietary land ownership data into an open and interoperable resource that accelerates the conversion of potential development sites into tangible housing projects? So that's the first problem statement. Second one is, how might we increase the attractiveness of small sites for SME developers and other new market entrants through streamlining the processes involved in small site development? And then the final and third problem statement is, how might we de-risk housing projects and unlock a surge in developer activity by giving developers and local planning authorities absolute certainty and radical transparency regarding existing and future infrastructure capacity? Lou or Isabel, do you want to add anything else, or should we move on? Clear and concise, hopefully, for everybody.
Sorry. Let's move on, and then we can come back if there are any questions.
Okay.
Sounds good. If you're able to click through the rest of these, that'll be brilliant. Whoever's controlling the slides, thank you. And brilliant diction, Tim. There's a lot of pressure when you're just reading to a crowd out loud. I think we've shared this slide before, and also it's very much brought out on the website, I think. So I won't spend lots of time going through every single one, but I suppose some of the things that I want to pull out here are what we've said before around the importance of scale in the solutions that are being brought forward, and really demonstrating, testing something works, demonstrating that it works through data, and then being able to show clearly how it can be replicated at a broader level, or even testing it at a broader level in the first place. And that's something that our innovation fund to date has always championed, through that idea of blueprinting things and being able to scale it at a broader level. So that's something that I think is going to be really important as part of this challenge. Collaboration is one that we're going to touch on in a couple of slides' time, but ultimately co-design is going to be the only way that we can show these solutions work, because we're asking, of course, tech innovators to apply, but having partners, whether that's local government, developers, people who have sites and data and real life environments that we can test on, are going to be very, very important to showing this stuff can work in real life. So that partnership approach is really key. Interoperability is probably a third one I'd lean on here, in the sense that we know there's a lot of brilliant data out there. There's already lots of tools in this space. How do we ensure that the solutions we're building can dock in as easily as possible to what is existing, and also build on, I suppose, the data foundations that have already been built through things like the planning data platform that government has created, or many other open sources of data that probably exist out there. And the final one is quantifiable evidence down at the bottom. So we really want, even at application stage, to see clear ways in which you're going to measure the effectiveness of the solution. So how do we ultimately show that at the beginning and the end, we can really show that we've turned the dial on these kind of housing delivery solutions, and be able to clearly measure it in a way that shows impact. And so the application form, as you'll see online, kind of asks for that kind of data and commitment upfront. Those are probably the key ones I was going to pull out, Isabel, so I'll let you carry on.
Thank you, Lou. And I think it's these key elements, we'll repeat them over and over during that presentation, because they are very important. That's what we're very much looking for. So next steps. You have until the 15th of June to submit your proposals on the platform. And there will be a panel of independent judges reviewing and scoring the proposals. There will then the selected companies and proposals will be asked to join a bootcamp. The bootcamp will be in the hub in London, physical, so it's not possible to do it remote. And the bootcamp will consist of short presentations with panels, and there will be around delivery plans and financials, tech and product, and outcome and impact. So it's really about testing, understanding, and having that live conversation with you on ensuring that these proposals you're putting forward have got a real potential. End of July, matchmaking, and then a short delivery part, and the delivery of the project is from August to February. So the companies selected will have to commit to be able to start delivering on very early August and work all the way to February. Obviously, we will be, as Geovation, we will be there to support and offer ad hoc business, mentorship, reviewing products, and have regular stand-ups and reporting. But it's really important to have that timescale in mind. And the end of the project is February 26th, and we want to be able to see at that point a solution that has delivered already some impact, and a report obviously around that. So we're very conscious that timescales are short, and there's a lot to do in a small amount of time, and that's why we're keen to help and be answering any questions if you have any. Partnership and co-design is key, and that's why we're looking at a two-pronged approach to matchmaking. So the first option is, if you have submitted an expression of interest, you will have the ability to access a database where people who are LPAs, developers, partners, who are interested in partnering and co-designing will be submitting their focus area. You'll have the ability to matchmake and connect with these based on the focus area. And that is happening from now until the 15th of June. But the second part of the matchmaking part is that once the winners are selected, we will do a second kind of a specific manual matchmake with the winners to really, again, to the point I was making before, because we know the window of development is very short, and we are keen to deliver value and impact, we really want you to co-design and to embed any of the solutions into a real context to be able to provide immediate value and impact. That's absolutely key to that project and that challenge. So let's go into more kind of practical and small prints. So we've already had that question several times, but I will respond to it again. Companies can submit one proposal per problem statement. Do not submit 10 proposals for one problem statement. We will not look at them. We will look at only one per company per problem statements. If you apply as a company, you need to be a UK registered company and have company registration number. You need to commit to delivering either an MVP or a demonstrator and its associated impact within the timescales of February 26. And obviously, there are a lot of legal kind of challenge terms. You need to review them, agree them, and follow the process on the platform. I'll go quite briefly through the evaluation, but just so it's very clear for everybody. So there is the preliminary compliance check, which is very simple. It's quite binary. And then a series of pass-fail questions, which are really around the due diligence and mainly around company details. And again, quite simple. But although they seem to be quite long, they are quite simple to fill in. And then there is what we call the more quality-based submission, which is a series of questions that you need to respond to. You need to please respect the word count. And for 2 questions, you can add a Gantt chart and a financial breakdown. The criteria are on the website, so I'm not going to necessarily go through everything, but it is important that you read through those. We have added, kind of help to be able to make sure that it's very clear, but make the language simple. It's not about the amount of words, it's about making yourself understood, keep the wording simple, clear, and do not use too much jargon. The judges will be independent, and some judges will be subject matter expert, but some will be more specifically on the tech, on the finance, on business. So it's really about making sure that whatever you're proposing is clear to everybody. If you are selected, you will be obviously notified. And when you apply, please make sure that you keep the dates of the 15th, 16th, and 17th of July. We don't know exactly yet what dates will be for what problem statements. So please keep those 3 dates. And only apply if you can have a representative coming into the hub for the bootcamp. The bootcamp is going to be 50% of the final assessment, and there will be 3 panels, one on impact and problem statements, one around technology and deliverability, and one around feasibility and proposed resources. So it's really important that you have all that in mind. Again, it's about being clear, simple, do not be too wordy, and make sure that you express your proposal and your solutions in a very simple way. We are very keen that, I know we're repeating that over and over, but co-design and partnership is important. So make sure that you express that. And we will select up to 12 applicants, and they will be granted up to 100K, depending on their proposal. So in a nutshell, what we're looking for is solutions that really show innovation and impact at scale. We're not, again, looking for blue sky innovation. We're looking for applied innovation. We want solutions and proposals and companies that can literally hit the ground running, demonstrate impact and value within a short time scale. We need to make sure that you are understanding the problem statements and you can respond to it with a solution that is adequate, but also that you show a clear impact, how you will measure that impact. We have put on the website suggested metrics for each problem statements. Do refer back to those. They are important and they are key to the application. We're looking for solutions that not only deliver within the timescales, but are sustainable long term. So we're not looking for solutions that need funding from the government forever to survive. They need to be self-sustaining. They need to be businesses that will generate their own revenues and grow and deliver for the long term. So it's not about delivering just in a short amount of time. It's about delivering for the long term and being self-sustainable. Obviously, we want you to demonstrate within your application that your team can deliver. Team is key. Team, partnership, and how you will be working with your partners is very important. Are they there to help you design? Can you really work and have a test bed and be able to embed your solution into something that is going to generate value and impact straight away? And obviously, compliance and responsibility. These are obvious, but it's always good to have them here. We want to make sure that anything that is being produced is compliant, is addresses all legal and ethical, but is also interoperable and understands the context that these solutions are being brought in. To Lou's point earlier, it's not about working in isolation. It's about making sure that whatever you're proposing works with existing systems, can be added on, and can be really an addition to something that is potentially existing and can be used in the future as well. So interoperability is very important. So I think we've gone through the whole presentation, and we're going to go on to the questions now. But QR code here, that links you to where to apply, the website link. So please do apply. We're looking for a lot of applications. We've had 116 expression of interest, so we really hope that we have as many applications, if not more. Let's go through any questions. I will stop sharing and we can go through the questions now, if anyone has any question. Let's start. Sorry, I can see. So, Yuan.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I put this question up on the chat. I was just wondering a little bit if you could expand on problem statement number 1, because my reading of it sounds like having to reinvent the land registry, and I'm assuming that's not what you mean. So could you expand on that a little bit, please? Thank you.
Do you want me to go first, and then Tim or someone else, you can chip in based on all the research you did? But Ewan, I suppose one of the real benefits of this partnership with Geovation for us as well is that HMLR are obviously very kind of tied into Geovation in terms of how it's set up, and have been there as a critical friend through the research, but also will be on the judging panel, which is exciting. Having spoken to them, I think a lot of their interest and focus, particularly around this problem statement, is around how we explore data structures and availability that can enhance the efficiency of some of those housing delivery processes we've talked about. So, and even how can those be better visualized was one of the things they mentioned. So ultimately, I think they are here and up for a conversation. They're involved in the process with us, and structures, availability, and visualization are some of the words that came up in our conversations with them. And I think they're looking for solutions that are willing to work with them on how things could be done differently. There are already lots of pilots happening through Land Registry on how they kind of revolutionise those processes in Bristol and other areas that you might be aware of already. So I think they are up for doing things differently and up for new solutions coming through this challenge. Obviously, we're not overhauling the whole organisation itself, but I hope it's clear that they are involved in this process and here to have conversations with applicants and through boot camps and beyond to make sure that the solutions work. Tim, is there anything you'd add from your kind of research on that problem statement specifically?
No, not at all. Other than Ewan's right. There is a root cause to quite a lot of these, but we know that doesn't stop improvements being made. And to our earlier point, we're giving you a problem statement because it's a really tricky problem. So whatever ideas you have to chip away at that long-term cause is what we're after. And there's lots of different perspectives you can attack it with, as Lou was describing.
And to add to Lou and Tim's point, it's really not about replacing LR. It's working with them on top of what they're doing, and they are extremely keen to engage. So it's about the outcome itself. So what is the purpose of land ownership? Not necessarily just the land ownership itself. Mark, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thanks very much, Isabel. First of all, apologies, missed the EOI opportunity. I've done the registration on the website for partnership, etc. But it's just presumably we would be able to get access to the potential partner list. Because we have a 3D interactive photorealistic modeling tool that we're developing through an IUK program that's focused on net zero. I mean, we've mapped things like the land registry information all across Peterborough as an example of one of the layers in there already. That's been, land registry were happy with that because it's part of a government program that it's developing the model, you know, it's example rather than going out to market at the moment. So obviously, we're very interested in finding partners, but at the moment we can't, I don't think.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what your question is, Mark, but if you've registered on the website and put your details forward, then we will, if you've registered as a potential partner and added your focus, then we will matchmake once we've got people who are interested in something.
That was really the question, whether we'd missed the boat by not being in the first tranche of the EOI.
Not if you've registered as a potential partner.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Claudio?
Yep. Yeah, thanks. A couple of questions on problem statement 3. Deals with infrastructure, which is obviously a very broad topic, as you mentioned, there's energy, water, telecom, transport. And are you looking there for a solution that covers all of them, or it can be more focused on a specific one, like transport or water or something? And also, in the way the question is worded, you ask absolute certainty and radical transparency, which is, it feels kind of very high bar, because very much depends on, in 6 months, very much depends on what's there already. And we know a lot of that data is as a starting point imprecise or uncertain, or so just if you could kind of expand on that point. And also, is it possible to respond to multiple questions, to submit onto multiple problem statements, and can it be the same solution if we think it solves a few things, or do they have to be kind of radically different things? And
how many questions do you have, Claudio?
Just another one, really.
Okay.
In terms of the funding, it's in the end it's 12 companies for 1.2, so it's an easy calculation to get to 100,000. Is that an average, a target, a ceiling? And if you do multiple statements, is it cumulative? Becomes cumulative or alternative?
Okay.
That's all. Sorry.
So
Thank you.
Loads of questions in one. So and I'm going to try and unpick them, and Lou and Tim, feel free to jump in. So on the problem statements have deliberately been crafted in a way that can allow for people to interpret and look at them and propose solutions. They are problem statements. They are not solution. They are not, kind of expressions of bids. So we're not asking you to do something. We're asking you to solve a problem for you to come up with how you think you can solve that problem. You might not be able to solve the whole problem. You might be able to solve one part of the problem really, really well. So it's for you to convince us and to be, to make sure that your solution is delivering against the problem statement for you to interpret it. Okay. And we know that infrastructure looks at very different things. So we're very conscious that it's not necessarily easy to look at radical transparency for absolutely everything. So yeah, that's one thing. I don't know, Lou, if you want to add, or Lou or Tim, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think the wording, Claudio, is supposed to be inspiring, right? Radical transparency, absolute certainty. This is us trying to inspire, great innovation in the industry. And as Isabel says, it's up to interpretation, but that is the dream. And as far as we can get there, that's what we want to see. But obviously those words can be interpreted in different ways. We were looking to inspire.
And to your other question, Claudio, so as I said, it's one application per company per problem statement, which means if you are thinking about, having ways to solve different problem statements, please, apply for different problem statements. Again, it's about you. It's on you to demonstrate and to make sure that what you're proposing is solving for a problem statement. Then your other question on funding, the max it's max 100K per funding. Again, it's for you to look at how you would what you propose, what you will deliver, and how you will deliver, and the cost of that delivery. So it's not a set 100K. It's for you to demonstrate, come up with your plan and your demonstration of the costs that would potentially be incurred on that. Is that okay? Does that clarify?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. Perfect. Henry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks everybody for the presentation. Henry here from Viability. A quick question really about partnerships. Well, the first question is, can there be multiple partners that we work with as part of this? Can we find and bring our own partners to the table and maybe just expand a little bit more for us on the matchmaking part of the process to find partners through that platform?
So partnership, absolutely. Bring your own partners and bring multiple partners. That's absolutely a great, option. And the partners can be upstream, downstream. They can be co-design, downstream application of your solution. So it's absolutely what we are looking for. Again, we're looking at applied innovation. So it's about making sure that your innovation has got somewhere to grow and to generate value and impact straight away, not in 3 years' time. So that's very much welcome. On the matchmaking, so as I tried to explain earlier on, we have an open opportunity for LPAs, partner, developers, anyone who's interested in co-designing, but is not necessarily a solution provider, to apply on the website and leave their details as well as the focus area that they are interested in working on. These focus area will be available to people, to companies that have registered their expression of interest, and we will then matchmake the partners and the expression of interest applicants. That's the first part. All that happening up to the point of application. The idea being that you come up with applications with partners and you have that strengthens your application. Selection process, what companies have been selected, and we have winners. The winners will have then another potential of partnership, and we will do some kind of a manual matchmaking at that point. So because we are very, very, very insisting on the co-design and the fact that we want this solution to be embedded and in a real life world.
Isabel, could we head into the chat, because a range of questions were asked before we finish the presentation?
Yes.
And it would be good to cover a few of those, I think. Ewan was there first, and I think Ewan also spoke first, so I think we've covered his problem statement 1. But Pratik asked a question about elaboration on the single line problem statements with some real life examples. I probably direct you, Pratik, to our report that provides the evidence base for how we arrived through the analysis and the research at those challenges, and there are a lot of links in there to further research and case studies that you should be able to come across. So I think that one dealt with Pratik. Alistair, Ray, Isabel has a quite a specific problem, which I'm not sure I can answer. Lou, I'm not sure whether you'd be able to. It says, how does problem statement 1 relate to the long-standing issue of missing data on contractual controls? Is that something you can speak to, or is that something we need to take away and come back to them on?
Probably take away and come back.
Yeah,
to...
can I just thanks, Tim. I did have the same question as you, and I think I still do, but we might have to leave that for another time. But I understand, going back to the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act, the previous government and the current government, I believe, are still committed to solving this problem of data on contractual controls, because even if we have open land ownership data, but if we don't have data on contractual controls, then we can't build houses in some places. So that was the question, was whether the ongoing work in government about that is maybe related to problem statement 1 and how that might actually work in practice. So that was my question. But yeah, if you're able to look into that at some point, that would be really useful.
I think
Okay.
Isabel, Caroline from Land Registry has put her hand up. Caroline, have you got something to add to that?
Yeah, just to say that Land Registry has been involved in looking at this work, and I think it's ongoing. I don't know all the detail of where it is at the moment, but I will raise that within Land Registry and then come back to Lou and Isabel or whoever else needs to know, and give you an update.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Caroline.
Okay, no worries.
Couple of quick ones, Isabel. We've got Mark saying, will there be local government representation on the panel? The answer is...
I'm happy to take that one, Tim. Obviously, with the judging panel, we're having to balance at the moment chicken and egg of people that apply and not having anyone from the groups that apply on the judging panel. So we hope to have local government representation as long as we can find the right person, and as long as there's no conflicts of interest there. That's definitely one of our kind of North Stars, is having their perspective on there.
Thanks, Lou. Isabel, I think you've answered this one. How many companies will be selected for the boot camp? Up to 12. Or
Up
no,
to 12.
That's the final.
Yeah, that's the final. So we're looking at 20 for the bootcamp.
Okay.
All the information is on the website. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Pratik came back with another one. Might be for you, Isabel. Any terms and conditions about the project execution, like usage of subcontractors, expertise outside the UK? So they might be a UK registered company, but can they use other resources, expertise outside of the UK?
Again, that is part of the terms and conditions. So I would advise people to have a look at the TNCs.
Thank you. Louise Stubbs, we've covered a bit of this. Let's make sure we've answered this question explicitly. It's about partner matching. If, I guess, Louise, you're saying you may well have partners who you could use already. Is it okay for them to match partners outside of the database that we'll be providing?
Of course.
Brilliant. Lan talks about LA's local authorities who might be interested in getting involved in co-design. Would we require dedicated resource to assist? I guess their dedicated resource to assist on this work. I guess the simple answer would be that comes down to your project plan and the availability of their resources to help. We know that can be a challenge. There are a number of different ways to engage with local authorities and customers. We're up for your proposals as to how you would do that. Sarah Mitchell-Baker, Sarah and Josh here from Urban Intelligence, keen to hear more about the problem statements and also whether it's beneficial to have partnerships pre-arranged. So I think feel free to pre-arrange partnerships and look at the partnership database that we'll provide, and the report. From the purposes of this call, the report that is available via that QR code, please do go and download that, have a good read. Feel free to ask further questions at the end of this meeting or offline.
So just so it's very, 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 very clear, we are encouraging partnerships as a whole. So please, if you have any partnerships already, it's great. Do bring them to the table. We're only adding the matchmaking as an option because we are keen to have those partnerships happening. But if you already have your partnerships, it's great. Please, it's better. So bring those.
Isabel, are you happy? There's still a few more before we get to the hands up ones. Are you happy for us to?
Shall we do a bit of Paul and Mark and then go back to the?
Okay.
So Paul, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Paul from Libra. Just a quick, I guess, about partnerships as well. And apologies, I missed the first half. I couldn't make it, so you may have covered this, but we would apply for only one stream, just for sort of capacity reasons, really, and focus. But I can definitely see their potential to work with other projects in the other streams, where there might be some data projects with APIs coming out, for example, that we can then tap into. And as I say, apologies if I tapped into this, but I'd be really keen to know if sort of almost part of the matchmaking will enable that cross collaboration between the ongoing projects themselves, because we would certainly want to, I mean, I guess tip for everyone, include that in our application, as well as like really have that as part of the project, the process and project, I guess. Yeah, if the projects made sense to do that.
Yes, so to your question, Paul, yes, and if you're interested in doing that, do go head to the website and go to the part around co-designing and submit, put your name and focus areas of where you think you're interested into co-designing, and we will then share that with the companies that have expressed their, done the application for the expression of interest. Mark, and then we'll go back on the chat.
Thanks ever so much. And hello, Mark Williams from the LGA. Thanks ever so much. Really interesting opportunities as well with the presentation. This is really just expanding on the local authority questions. And one thing I've come across with like the hackathon style events is, particularly in the housing and planning sector, is really there's a lack of operational expertise which are available to applicants, particularly like startups or anything like that. So there's definitely a lot of council officers that we know and work with that would be more than happy to support this, really create something worthwhile for the sector, by the sector as well. So will applicants be able to be supported by local government officers in planning and housing for that subject matter expertise?
Absolutely, Mark, and it's music to my ears. Thanks for kind of asking. Well, actually, suggesting. It's absolutely the case, and that would be part of the second part of the matchmaking, where we will manually, have and match the winners with specific subject matter experts and partners throughout. But in the meantime, if you have, if you're keen to, and if you know people that might be relevant, do apply or do submit on the co-design, because we're really keen to build that bank of potential partners for the winners. Great. Back on the chat, Tim. I don't know where we're at on the chat. So
it's okay, I do. And I've had a look at the total number of questions. I think we might, with some short, sharp responses, get through the lot. If we don't, we will pick up any that we didn't respond to and communicate those back out, I guess, to everyone, because everyone's on this call afterwards. So let's go. Ben asks a straightforward question. How do we see or access the partnerships portal?
Okay, so if you have submitted an expression of interest, you will receive an email with a link to the portal.
Thanks. It's like we've done this before. Jack from Made Tech asked a really interesting question, and I won't keep repeating this, but please go and see the report, because he's identified a challenge or a problem area that we're not covering in the 3 problem statements. Good spot. There were lots of problem statements that we considered. We had a much longer list than the 3 that we've selected. So it's a really interesting question. I think, Lou, we've chosen with you the 3 areas of focus over this financial year that we really want to focus on. That does not preclude future innovation challenges, highlighting other areas that we would like solved, but these are our most immediate and necessary challenges.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Tim. And just to add quickly, this trying to get an understanding of the pipeline and how we're actually tracking progress against 1.5 million is a problem a lot of us are all noodling over, I think, and links really to all of the problem statements ultimately, Jack. So I think, the issue of tracking progress against that target is separate to obviously how we accelerate delivery on that target, which is what the problem statements are focused on. But it's not to say that you couldn't bring elements of that into what your proposed solution might be, because they are tied and there's close links there, and it's important to be able to see the broader picture.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
If I get your name right, Des Poyner, and I might need you to come in just to add a bit of context, but really interesting question around impact, I guess. They're referring to the potential of their tool or solution to be trialed on a portion of a larger site, which would have therefore a real impact. Is that acceptable? Would that be understood within our criteria and assessed as impact and valuable to us?
Yeah, and I think we deliberately haven't, given really specific hectares or number of units, because as Isabel said earlier on, we want this to be open to interpretation. And I think, the key is testing in real life environments, Desperina, and that's clearly what you're showing you want to do there. So I would say that sounds relevant. And yeah, ultimately we've left a little blur on the lines on purpose.
I mean, good to hear there could be genuine impact in the real world, which is what we're aiming for. And if you can prove that, that is a good thing. A contact called VP, I think we know the answer to this, but talks about budget allocation within their proposal and whether they could allocate budget to their partnerships to support. My answer would be, if that is something you need to do and bring that into the cost of your proposals, then please do so.
Okay.
Pratik has asked a follow-on question. For collaboration with local authorities, do we have any details of those already interested? Or I guess another question, when might they find out about who has put themselves forward?
As I mentioned, if they have submitted their expression of interest and applied on time, they will receive an email. We're not sending the email this week. It will be sent next week because we want to make sure we have enough numbers to share. And it will be on the applicants to make sure that they review that database regularly, because we will update it as we receive proposals from potential partners. So it's for you to make sure that you go on the website and verify regularly, which kind of answers, I think, Amia's question.
Yes, I think so. Des Poyner has come back in with what I think is a question about our criteria, perhaps, which might mean submit your proposal and we will assess it. But they talk about members of, be it an existing partnership or a tech partner or an LA or an SME or a design consultant, who would be best to be the applicant and register? Does it have an impact to the application?
I think the impact is mainly on who is the main holder of the project. And I would suppose in that case, the main kind of holder of the project would be the company delivering the project. And therefore either the the tech partner or in that case, that would probably be the tech partner. So what we want is the holder of the project, the owner of the project, is the one delivering that project with co-designing and test beds. But the company responsible for delivering the project is the one submitting.
Thanks, Isabel. A couple of quick ones. Sumaya asked about, I think a couple of you have suggested this, that they've missed the EOI, but they would like to still apply. Yes, please do. It's great that you're on this call. Someone has Amir has a potentially technical question, which is they submitted an EOI but did not receive an email to access the partnerships portal. Let us take that away and make sure.
It will, as I mentioned, it will be sent next week.
Brilliant. Now we're coming, I think we have 4 or 5 more and sort of 8 minutes to go. Isabel, are we okay to do questions to the end, or is there a summing up that you or Lou were intending to do just to make sure we fit everything in?
No, questions are fine. I just want to make sure that people look at the website, do read, what is on the website. We have crafted not only the problem statements, but there are associated metrics to each problem statements. Make sure you look at those metrics. This is one of the things that we will be looking at in terms of assessment, we are really keen that any proposal is delivering in the very short timescales, and that will be delivering against those metrics. So make sure you look at those.
Lovely. Okay. Final sort of 3 or 4 really. Someone from ACOM, Yanni, asked for an expected timeline on the matchmaking database. That is the thing that is coming out next week, as I understand it.
Yes.
So yeah, please do watch this space. That will be out. Mark has raised a question, and Mark, you might need to pop up to, not Mark Williams, sorry. Mark Woodward has asked a question that I think I understand, but you might have to pop up and describe it for me. For the focus on the website, he's identified an area of expertise rather than interest in a particular problem statement. Is this the right approach? Mark, what do you
just
mean by that?
to clarify that on the website it asks what our focus is, and I put in what our capability is. But did you mean, as that question, in saying asking what the focus is, which area of which problem statement, for example, we're interested in?
It is problem statement and what you can bring as well. Say you are, I mean, you mentioned you do visualization. I think it's, what can you do and how can you, how do you see yourself working with others? And where do you see, what problem statement do you think you'd be most suitable to work on or most wanting to work on?
And can I expand upon that now? Because I just put a simple answer in, that's all.
Well, now you've gone past that first stage. When you actually submit your proposals, you've got the opportunity to bring it all to life for us. Interesting question from Barrett, which talks about payment schedules, and that if they were awarded the maximum of £100,000, how that would be provided to them for that duration of the contract. Do you have any details on that, Isabel?
Yes, payment is on submission of claims and on deliverable. So it will be depending on your work plan and how you plan your delivery. We're expecting roughly work plans to be we will have fortnightly meetings to make sure that delivery is happening, but we will look at plans in terms of stages for the payment around every 2 months.
Thanks, Isabel. There's 3 more questions. 2 are similar. First of all, from the Spatial Design Hub, can a business be a partner? No, I don't understand this. Can a business be a partner to a lead and also provide a different solution? You're talking about sort of prime versus support. So to your earlier point about you can submit 1 proposal per problem statement, can in theory a company say submit a problem statement for problem 1 or a proposal for problem 1 and then support someone else's application, perhaps for that same problem statement?
Yes. Again, it's important that it's about. It is really about delivering. So if a partner is a lead on a problem statement and on a solution, they could potentially be a partner on another solution, but it needs to be plausible. So it's not against the rules, let's say.
Yeah. Thanks, Isabel. Good question. The last 2 that I've picked up, and then really, if anyone, I mean, put your hand up if you don't feel that we've picked up your question in the chat, because there was a lot of chat. I think I've gone through it in a really structured way. So do flag your hand, because of the other 2 people, I think we've covered this. Chris Morgan asks about not submitting an EOI, but would like access to the portal. If you've registered or let our team know that you are, I mean, you're on this call, so you will be notified. And similar, Fabio, you asked about how do you apply to have your organization included in the partnerships portal? Slightly different then. So this is about being on the portal. Fabio,
you go on the
like
website.
Okay.
Yeah, you go on the website and go into the co-design section, and there is a button there. Just fill in the form. Very simple form. It's very light touch form.
Nice. We've got to the end of the list, Isabel, at the bottom.
Great. We have 2 minutes, so I think we've covered everything. So any questions? So please do, look at the website. Make sure you are reading everything. It's there with a purpose. We will try and extract most of the questions and put an FAQ on the website as well, so everybody can refer back to those questions. This has been recorded and will be put on the website as well if you want to look at it. And if you have any questions, use the email, which is challenge@geovation.uk. And we are very much looking forward to all the fantastic proposal that you will put. Just bear in mind, it is about making sure you deliver something that can be generating impact within the short time scales.
Thank you, everyone. We're so excited to see it all come forward. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.